As we now bring the ESG Adria Summit 2025 to a close, please join me in welcoming the two women who have not only designed this platform, but built it from the ground up into the region's leading space for sustainability, dialogue, and action. Alexandra Njagul, founding partner, Sustineri Partners, and Biljana Braithwaite, founding partner and CEO of Sustineri Partners.
We didn't intentionally coordinate, but, you know, blood isn't water, as they say. So I'm going to be very short. We're all very tired, and I want my ice cream finally. But I'll repeat my answer. Last night, Leo asked me, well, how did this all happen? How did you get this idea? And it's actually a lovely story. You know, I'm a younger sister, obviously. Always looking up to my sister, and I always wanted to work with her, and she had also some kind of a desire to work with me. But I went into architecture, she went into law, and it was not really working out. We had some ideas about opening a hairdressing salon and a beauty salon. It was, you know, more of a self-service than, you know, but it didn't quite happen. There was a villa rental idea. I think Julian is guilty for that. So we were trying to see the future in which we were working together and making something together. And ESG, for whatever, you know, whatever its reputation it has now, has actually brought us there. Because I went into sustainable real estate and sustainable investment, and she, from law into human rights and governance, we actually came together in ESG and realized we can actually work together. And why is the summit here? It's because it was born here, quite literally, in the Adriatic while we were swimming. Biljana has a beautiful house in Paris, and every year we do our best to undo whatever we did over winter. And we do take long swims, and we talk about our future and how we can do things. And the concept of this summit was born in the water of Adria. And I'm really glad to see the success it has become. Thank you all, and I'll leave the most serious part to Biljana.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I was just doing a couple of interviews, and, you know, they ask you, was the summit successful? And it's so ungrateful to be saying it is if you're organizing it, right? Of course I'm going to say it, and, you know, you're going to have a next one. But we got so much good feedback from everyone, and that's really, including the people I know are not doing it performatively, so that's brilliant. But, you know, if that's the case, that is because everyone in this room contributed to it in some way, collectively. I think I really, you know, I'm of this region, and as sort of Julian often says, you can take Biljana out of Balkans, but you can't take Balkans out of Biljana, which normally applies to me being late or sort of things like that. But it's a sort of...
It's a seat buckle.
But it's a seat buckle. But I do think that there is sort of still, for whatever reason, and probably our troubled history is part of it, there is some visceral energy you sort of find here, and people have agency because they had no other option to survive but to maintain that sort of sense of agency. And then my path was such that, you know, had I not moved from Serbia, I would probably have climbed a ladder, whatever ladder it would have been, government or corporate, but through a set of circumstances, moved to London, and then had to make something of my own. So when people who work in companies or government tell me, you know, I hate my job, but I'm, you know, you got to do something, I can't relate because I never had to do it, because I always had to be really self-employed or create something. And I do really believe in what Leo was saying. I think it's very, very difficult to motivate people if they don't believe in what they are doing. And if they don't have some sense of sort of agency and commitment. There is only so much you can expect from them. Past that point, they are, you know, they're not sort of really delivering. And I would love to believe that I haven't burnt out the team, but they really, I think, for the event to look like this, you really need a team that is prepared to do ridiculous things at ridiculous hours. And we had so many emails from me where I say, we're no longer, going to send messages to each other after 8 o'clock and, weekends, no, please. And then we all break it within a day because it's impossible, it's not. But, everyone was so brilliant, and I think it's because they feel invested in it. And I think in this region, there is so much potential, and there is, there's so much space for hope, but you can also get gloomy very easily because, when the world is in crisis, nothing good can happen here. Nobody pays attention, nobody has time for us, nobody has bandwidth to deal with the Balkans, and then left to ourselves. I mean, Balkanization is not a word without a reason, right? So we sort of default to a very bad place. So my feeling was we've got to do something, and we of my generation have so much in common with other countries in the region because we all traveled, had our holidays in Croatia. With young generations, that's not the case. And, but by bringing them together just sort of now for 2-3 days, you see how much of a cooperation there can be. And which is why I'm a great believer in EU, but then in particular for what EU could mean to this region. I think will make so much more sense when these borders no longer really make much sense. And so all of these things were the sort of motives behind, and the summit has started off under the ESG label because back then, really, it was an aspirational, we had a tagline saying the business of the future. That's how we interpreted it. And it's become a very broad agenda now that we are dealing with, and sustainability is a pillar, but we talked about growth, we talked about resilience, we talked about governance quite a lot, and geopolitics. We had a Munich conference here telling us about what a horrendous experience it was to run Munich conference this year. And we talked a lot about innovation. We had sort of startups here, we committed to joint action. So we've decided to call this Adria Future Summit from now on. And trust me, we are not doing it to make it easier for CEOs to attend, although I have been told that it'll make it easier for some CEOs to attend, sadly. But we really are doing it because the interest and the topics we dealt with are now broader, and we need to acknowledge it in name and move forward, and we are doing it today. I will just to wrap up, thank you all hugely. I'm going to do huge thanks to my team first. Thanks to Dreamland and Uroš. Uroš is over there in red shirt.
Uroš has suffered.
Uroš, we shall find out whether Uroš still speaks to me, because 2 days ago, Uroš told me, he said, I love you as a person, and even if we stop cooperating, you will always remain a friend. I'm yet to find out whether he's going to run Summit next year, but so you all need to go to him and tell him he must. To production pool here, who are brilliant, really with sort of managing all these venues. To protocol, we had, believe it or not, 16 protocol officers here managing all the bilaterals. There was a lot going on, and because we are not a government, we had to put in place this operation very quickly. The comms team has done fantastic work because we had how many media accredited? Over 60 media. So yeah, it's been brilliant. Thank you very much. And I hope that everyone who is in this room will put summit into their calendars for next year, please. Thank you.